Hello everyone and welcome to my channel. Only 6 weeks left until Christmas, and I'm sure we're all busy preparing our decorations for the season. Here, I share my passion for creating detailed and realistic dioramas. If you love miniature worlds and creative landscaping techniques, you're in the right place. This project is my large Christmas village diorama built on a 4 meter by 1.8 meter layout. It features a snowy mountain with the village on the right side, a tall bridge in the center with a river and waterfalls below, and a second rocky mountain on the left side with a ski gondola connecting both mountains. Below the bridge, I've created a play park for Lemax figures, and around the entire scene runs an O-gauge train that passes through tunnels on both sides. It's a constantly evolving project with lots of details and lighting effects, and I'm really excited to share every step with you. Today, I'll show you the very first part of the village creation. The entire village will cover an area of about 1.8 meters in width, 1.5 meters in length, and reach up to 1.5 meters in height. The layout is divided into two sections, and in this episode we'll start with the area attached to the wall where the magic of the village begins to take shape. First of all, we'll create the second base for the car lift and carefully align its height and width with the wall so both areas connect smoothly, allowing a natural transition from one mountain to the other. The second important step is to create the route for the train rails and adjust the slope according to the calculations we made in episode 1. We'll follow the same formula, but to be honest, this part is much easier, because here we have only two 90-degree bends, and in general, more space to create a smoother transition from 25 centimeters down to 0 centimeters. In section 1, over a rail length of about 2.5 meters, the height gradually drops from 25 centimeters down to 12 centimeters. The next step is to plan the number and size of your Lemax houses, or any buildings you'd like to add, so you can understand the final layout and decide the height of the flat areas where the houses will be placed. Now it's time to build the main supports and the flat areas where the houses will sit. For this part, I'm using thermocol since I have plenty of leftover pieces. Just make sure the thermocol you use is thick and strong enough to support the weight of the Lemax buildings. As you can see in the pictures, I'm using thermocol columns about 10 by 10 centimeters and sheets at least 2 centimeters thick, with high density if possible. After installing the flat pieces, not all of them yet, since there will definitely be some changes along the way, it's time to define the path layout for each level, so all levels connect and flow naturally with one another. This is another challenging but very important step. For this project, I chose to create a stepped path instead of a regular road. Being from Greece, I drew inspiration from the beautiful pathways of the Greek islands, and I think the result looks really unique and charming. What do you think about this stepped path? I'd love to hear your thoughts. For the stepped pathways, I'm using 1 centimeter thick thermocol. Each step is 7 centimeters long, 3 centimeters wide, and 1 centimeter high. I'm careful to assemble them so the steps stay perfectly in line without exceeding the 1 centimeter height. To hold everything together securely, I'm using gan glue. After installing the stair pathway, it's time to create the parapet walls along the stairs. For this part, I'm using 5 mm thick foam board with a height of 3 centimeters. The great thing about foam board is that it's super easy to bend and shape to match the curve of the stairs. I'm installing it using the same method as before, with the glue gun. At the end of this stage, the result should look like this. Make sure you don't leave large gaps between the flat layers, otherwise your village might look a bit empty and less detailed. Keeping the layers close together really helps make the scene look rich and full of life. The last thing to do before we start shaping the mountain with paper is to create the tunnel near the bridge. You've already seen the final result back in episode 6. For this tunnel, we'll follow the exact same process as the other two we built earlier in the project. Now we're ready to start shaping the mountain with paper. Let me quickly go over the process again. First, cut a piece of paper and crease it well to create some natural indentations. Then shape it to fit the area where you want to install it. Apply hot silicone glue along the edges of the section and start attaching the paper. Begin from the top and work your way down to the bottom. Avoid adding paper to the areas that belong to section 2. We'll handle those parts later on, once section 2 is fully ready. Next, we can start installing the plaster tape over the paper areas. I'm using a 10 centimeter wide plaster tape, and I cut each piece slightly longer than the height of the section I'm working on. You'll need a bowl of water and a large wet brush. Dip the plaster tape into the water. You'll notice it becomes soft and easy to shape. Then carefully place it over the paper surface and use the wet brush to smooth it down so it takes the shape of the paper underneath. Make sure your brush stays wet at all times. It really helps you handle the plaster tape and shape it more easily. As you can see, I've left some areas open for now until I finalize the shape and arrangement. In this video, you can see the completed plaster tape installation, just one step before we move on to painting. The last thing to do before painting is to apply a watery plaster mix over the entire surface, including the plaster tape, the stairs, and the parapet walls. Use a brush with a tapping motion to create small bumps and texture all over the area, then let it dry completely. You'll also need a bowl of water nearby to rinse your brush whenever it starts to harden. This will help you keep it soft and easy to work with. And that brings us to the end of this episode. We've made great progress so far. The mountain is starting to take shape, and the layout is really coming together. In the next episode, we'll focus on aligning section 2 with section 1, making sure everything connects perfectly before we move on to the painting stage. I'll also walk you through a short briefing about the lighting setup, how I plan to organize the power supply, and the best way to install the lights safely and neatly. So make sure to stay tuned, because the next part will really bring the project one step closer to completion.